Okay. Good morning, Hickory Sunrise. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, thank you for the opportunity for us to be here together. Thank you for this wonderful group. Guide us and protect us and help us to do what we say we can do, service of Lord's self. Continue to guide us and protect us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, Hickory Sunrise. Well, straighten the flag, please. Think we have, what's that? Straighten the flag.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, Good morning, Mr. Honeycutt.
How you doing, Mr. Honeycutt?
Good morning,
Mr. Honeycutt. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Wayne. I'm gonna come to you just a minute. Introduce your guest.
Hey Wayne, good morning.
Good morning.
I have as my guest this morning, Mandy McSwain. Mandy is a dental hygiene student at CVCC. And Rick, she wants to chat with you at some point about the veterans as her patients next semester.
Great.
Cool. So let's welcome Mandy.
Mandy, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about Steve, but otherwise, okay, several items of business quickly. Reinhardt asked you to check the bulletin, see if you had any issues out the back page of the bulletin.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt.
Okay, there's one issue, and I've had two Rotarians to give me an opinion. Everyone's name here has the same font size. Mine is smaller. Now, what discrimination do we have here in the bulletin? Look at that. Look at D. Wayne Honeycutt, and look at the size. Now, Richard, you mentioned you understood what the problem was. What was the problem?
I just said you're just one step below all the rest of
Is
it.
That, he was not supposed to say that. All right, put your dollar out. Put it on the table. Put it on the table. All right. Anyway, Reinhardt, you can make a note and bring the font size up, so we won't have another issue like that. Anybody
We'll
else?
do so, sir.
All right, good deal. All right, several items this morning. Ron Leach is not here, but Gavin, is the perimeter safe?
Clearly not, because half the people here I didn't want to get through. So, I'm going to have to go back and review footage and things like that and see how it all happened.
We may have to tighten up security. We'll work on it. Okay, Jake, food?
Food, got Jake's food, yes. I think everybody's given, I think.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Several issues quickly before the club. Okay, here we go. All right. In the past, Bob Steiger, right there, has sent out notices from, I don't know if anybody received this notice, which is St. Patty's Day, the luck of the Irish. In the past, I have been getting these, and I have found them because it's an advertisement. Now, this time, a friend of mine from out on 127 drove all the way to my house to bring me this.
Hey, how you doing?
Good afternoon.
That's tough, we call it.
Oh.
Sorry.
Put your dollar over here. Put your dollar. All right, good deal. Now, this is an advertisement, and Bob, is there any reason, Bob, would you answer me? That's another dollar if you don't answer.
Whoa.
Why?
I don't have to answer. There's my
Okay, so anyway, you discriminated because I didn't get one because I would find it advertising. But anyway, pass this way. It's a nice card.
Oh, sorry.
I told the guy who delivers my mail.
Yes.
I told him if he got anything from Auto Fitness, not
Disregard it.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably what happened on my end
Do
too.
not deliver.
All right. One thing, Rick, you might have to identify and give me an answer. This is the March 2nd Hickory Daily Record, and we have pictures in here of 3 Rotary Club members, or three clubs.
Okay.
And we do have the work day, which is Rotary, and we had, Rick, I see your picture. And Donald, I see your picture in here. Anyway, would you consider this service above self?
Yes.
Since it was a rotary activity.
It's still service. It wasn't mandatory. Yeah, just, all right, everyone owes $1 to the video blue
To the
bucket.
blue bucket.
Everyone else.
But I got a question too, I'm concerned.
All right, I have a question this morning. Michael, where is your badge?
You didn't give it to me?
You walked in and I had it, you just kept hugging the lady, you went back to the kitchen and almost assaulted the lady back there. And anyway, I held it for you and you kept walking.
Because he was sharing love.
And I need another $1. There we
There it
go.
is.
All right.
No, Mr. Huntington, in fairness, our brother was working with the public broadcasting system to create one of those "Is this harassment?" ads. You know, they've been running those.
Okay, well-
He was starring in one of those.
All right.
I pay you out, don't say no more, please. Please, don't say nothing else. It's getting worse.
I need your attention on this. And I don't know how to handle it, but I bring it up before the club. Okay, Saturday, we had a work session, right, Rick, Donald? Okay, I noticed one Rotarian kept squirming in his seat, and he got agitated or something, and Glenn said he was highly agitated when he came in the meeting. Anyway, he left, and he knocked the camera over. And you saw that Reinhardt almost had a heart attack. The camera went over, so he caught it. And my understanding from some Rotarians, he was agitated, I don't know over what. Someone said he needed to go to the bathroom, I don't know that. I need $1 for that embarrassment for everybody there. Who was it?
It was me.
Yeah.
He said it was the muffins. Oh, we didn't have muffins there.
All right, the last item, Steiger, I'll say this. I want to feel for him, and I'm not finding him anymore. He's having a tree, I mean a massive oak. It's taken 3 days, still working on Stitt's tree service. They couldn't get a crane in there to do it. They're having to cut it piece by piece the 3rd day, so any support, he's gonna need all he can. So anyway, I will put $1 fine in there to help you out.
I'll need more than $12.
Okay, all right, that's it.
What are you doing with the firewood?
Huh?
What are you doing with the firewood?
It's enough there for 5 years.
You need to borrow your splitter?
He's gonna hold a silent auction.
Jenny, go ahead.
Need to give a quick Ryla update.
Okay.
I'm taking 2 kids a week from Thursday.
Yes.
One of our 2 kids is a soccer player.
Okay.
He has a grade 3 sprain in his ankle. Not sure about surgery yet. He got off crutches yesterday, but he is in a boot and will be in a boot for Ryla. So I'm going to email Mike today and just make sure he's still willing to go.
That won't be a problem at
I
that
didn't think it
campus.
would
That's
be, but
a-
I'm gonna let him know that he's in a boot.
That's a nice country campus, and most of it'll be on flat ground.
Yeah, I'm gonna still let him know that he's in
Yeah,
a boot.
oh, absolutely.
But
Not that
both boys
it
are
changes the
upset.
medical update sheet.
Yeah.
Any other unfinished? Yes, sir. Kenny.
Okay, some of y'all want to know who I am.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Kenny Klontz.
Mr. Clean.
I've missed quite a bit of time. I've got a 18-year-old son just turned 18. He's been going through some medical situations, and he has finally got a good hold on. And I just want to thank y'all for just keeping up with me and everything else. I haven't been avoiding y'all. Well, there's a couple I have. But I will be back now. He's actually finally got his license. He got his little car. With his medication, everything's leveled out. But he's doing good. And thank y'all for your support.
Welcome back, Kenny. Welcome back. Welcome back.
God bless.
And amen. Gavin.
Yeah, Steve, you were talking last week
Yes.
about Rick Van Dett.
Yes.
So I brought it back.
So you've got it.
I got it.
How long have you had it, sir?
For quite some time.
And how many
But I
times
think
have you
in the
paid for it, sir?
meantime, I think Jenny came in the meantime since I had that. So,
Yeah, but have you brought anybody?
yeah, Jenny.
Me?
Okay.
Yeah, he should have
But
lost
he's
that.
held the
So,
bricks.
Yeah, but you've had the bricks.
You
You
have-
haven't
you
brick-
paid
brick
no
around.
fine.
I understand that.
And you
but I'm
paid no
just,
fine.
clarifying what the situation
He
is.
also named the brick. You heard
I
that.
noticed that.
All right, I need to.
So I should be giving Brick Vendetta to somebody else.
That is your privilege
Right.
Yeah.
to present it.
Yes.
Okay, so, anybody actually want it? Because they're not getting it.
You got a string hanging on you.
I want it, so don't give it.
Look right here.
Okay, I'll give it to my.
Get good. You know,
I know keep saying that.
all right, in my past life, in my past
All right,
life,
Evan, I need $1 for
Okay.
holding the brick.
it'll be in your car seat. Don't worry about the window.
Gavin says we're lucky he didn't charge us rent on maintaining it.
There you go. Yes, sir, Mr. Phil.
Yeah.
We just had the opportunity to put some money in the blue bucket, and just to let you know that as your cart champion, next week will be cart challenge. I'll match up to $75 of what goes in the cart bucket next week.
All right.
Next week.
Next week.
Next week. I was trying to give you a little warning, so you could bring checkbooks or large denomination bills or whatever you'd like to do. Thank you.
So next week's the 27th.
All right, next week, so next week we
Yes.
put 150 in the car bucket, right? Club,
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
25 bucks, $3 a piece, we can do that. All right, anybody else old business?
Oh, 'cause I
I'm
think
just old.
anybody, I'll get ready my head.
Oh, unfinished business, I should say.
Okay.
Unfinished business, please, Skip. I want to look back at number 7, Wayne, if it's okay with you, where your name is.
Yeah.
And I've noticed something with the club all this whole day. And I thought, as you were speaking, they've been acting kind of peculiar. And forgive me, yes, but when you look at them and see how they did his name and made it smaller, I want to know what the fuck's wrong with them.
Oh, that's too close. No, I need $1. No. Oh, no.
It's like,
Fine, Buffer.
I didn't help you out.
No, I need
F-O-N-T.
Joe,
F-O-N-T.
I will call Joe over here to make a
Captain
statement.
Joe. Captain Joe. Did I not say font?
It was so close and I couldn't hear it well.
Yeah.
All right, see, I need $1. I need $1.
I think the whole club can make a decision.
Joe's, I think they already have.
I'm gonna pay real fast. I'm gonna pay, I don't trust that.
Hey, Joe, it's like the Roman Coliseum.
We're gonna put him in the same category as we put Mark Bumgarner.
No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Okay, no, you ain't. I ain't going there. Let's see. We're ready for the program. Mr. Roger Irvin. You ready?
All right. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
So, what I wanted to have a discussion about today, and again, wanted to be more of a discussion than me presenting so much, because I feel like I already gave you a presentation to a certain extent when we did our second introductions and kind of went into talking about some of the things that we've been working towards and that I've taken on to try to work towards at CVCC.
In fairness, tell us your job position
Sure.
in your school, because there are some people that haven't always been here when those things happen.
Sure. My job title at CVCC is Chief Human Resources Officer, but also Diversity and Inclusion Officer. That's something I've taken on more recently. Prior to that, I was Human Resources Director. But I am serving on more boards at CVCC, more committees, more boards, to try to work more strategically for organizational development. And one key piece of that is diversity and inclusion for the organization. So I've been working with Steve and talking with Steve's group a lot with the Office of Multicultural Affairs. We've been talking through different considerations for the organization and trying to make strides to increase our diversity and inclusion initiatives. It's something we feel like although there's been progress made in certain respects, there's also quite a bit that has remained static. And we want to move forward. We want to keep moving and be more intentional in our efforts as it pertains to diversity and inclusion initiatives. A big part of what I do at CVCC is obviously recruitment. In my role in the Human Resources Office, I'm hands-on with recruitment on a daily basis, talking with managers about recruiting for part-time and full-time positions. And so I'm situated in a position where I really have an opportunity to impact it from a wide range of things that we do in human resources, from formulating job descriptions to deciding where we're going to put our advertising dollars for recruiting for open positions, how we fill positions. Part-time is a little less formal than full-time as far as how we go about filling positions, but that's not always ideal from a diversity perspective because what happens a lot of time is who you know. As far as word-of-mouth advertising for part-time positions, when people come in, sometimes it's so-and-so's friend, so-and-so's relative, so-and-so knows somebody from somewhere, and that's how the connection gets made. But again, if we're constantly doing that, and in some situations, if we're not posting positions and posting them in a certain way that allows equal access, then that's a problem. I wanted to talk about it with this group, with the Rotary group, because I'm interested in hearing, and one of the things that I was struck by, and Steve indicated to me when I first joined the group, was this group has done a really good job at being mindful of having a diverse group of people as part of the membership. So I wanted to hear a little bit about the history of the club from y'all's perspectives on, again, I know some of the history has been shared as far as how the group was formulated, but want to hear a little bit more specifically about the diversity of the group, why that's important to the group, and then thinking forward as far as what it means going forward. Is it something that we can think about and be intentional about in our efforts when we talk about new members? And then maybe I'll talk a little bit about, again, the piece I forwarded in the email about the president's message dealing with Rotaract clubs. Just interested in hearing if that's ever been a consideration, since we're on a university campus and we're at CVCC, just to hear some insights about that. So does anybody want to share to start out with, I guess, some
Ask you a quick question.
history of the club?
Your initiatives,
Yes.
do they include both student, staff, and faculty?
So on where I'm situated in human resources, I obviously have an employee focus, but it has been vocalized, and it is definitely an important piece of our campus to not only focus on the employee side, but to focus on the student side as well when we're talking about those things.
Roger, I must say, probably from one perspective to the other, Rick Van Dett will probably be one good one, and then Michael Wimbley will probably be the other perspective.
Okay.
But let me also tell you, and shame on me, but Amanda is a Rotaract member as well at CVCC, and has been for 3 years now.
Who sponsors that club there?
Newton Conover.
Newton Conover,
Yeah.
Good.
And while we're having this conversation, can I throw a caveat and a plea? I need some male mentors that don't look like me in my building in the worst possible way. Our African-American males are dying. If you look at our subgroup that we're not reaching is our African-American males, and we're looking for mentors to help with that situation that can come in. And Joe's doing this, either have lunch or work with a small group of kids in math or whatever. We were looking at predictions yesterday, And in 4th grade, we had one African-American male who is predicted to pass the EOG in reading or math. One. And that's it. Now, there's not a great big population of African-American males in 4th grade, but there are 7 that have a predictability of less than 40%. So clearly that group is not being reached. So just throwing that out there to kind of caveat with what you're talking about, as we're having the conversation, I'm looking for folks that could come in and help mentor my young boys.
Oh, piggyback on that, at the alternate program, 60 to 70% of our kids that were distressed and in trouble were lost between the 3rd and 4th grade. I think throw stone in the water, if it's not a problem, I think some of us who are not black enough could still be reasonably good mentors to those students.
And I don't disagree with that. But where they struggle is seeing people that look like them
Sure.
in successful roles. You know, like a dentist.
Absolutely.
So that's, I mean, and we have a couple of African-American folks in the building, but no males. We have 1 male. Well, I'm sorry, 2. We have a coach and Jeff. So a principal and the PE teacher. And that's all the males we have. And the thing that's lacking in many, many of their homes is a male figure. So people that are not of color would be fine as well, and we appreciate Joe's efforts to have that male face. But I want my African American males to see somebody that looks like them that's doing something good, you know?
Good point.
Well, you thinking you're maybe too handsome?
No, what
handsome.
school is this?
And it's not the school you would think. I'm not talking about Southwest or Longview anymore. Viewmont is just like Southwest or Longview. We pull from the housing authority, and many of our African-American children live in that neighborhood, and it is not the place to raise a child. Because they go outside to play, and they see stuff that I haven't seen. And I'm 52 years old.
Well, and Roger's gonna never get to his program.
Sorry.
Shut up.
I'm shutting.
But I sort of disagree with that comment, because I grew up in the projects, in the same
It's
projects
scary,
that these
though.
kids grew up in. But I think the difference is, I was in the projects, but the projects were not in me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to get these young people to understand.
We had a 1st grader that I have all but taken home bring 11-inch knife and 3 roaches to school, and they weren't the creepy curly kind on Monday.
Yeah,
And where did a 7-year-old get that?
right,
You know?
yeah.
And
I get where you're going.
and it terrifies me for these kids, and they're good kids, but then they go outside and play, and they see drugs being sold, they see girls being groped, they see fights, they see people getting shot. I mean, the stuff that they see, I've not seen.
Right.
You know, and I grew up on a dirt road.
Environment.
And it just terrifies me for them. So anyway, I'm done. Roger, next. Sorry.
But I think Rick and Dr. Wimley are going to do that from one perspective to the other.
He's talking about the diversity of our club and the history of our club, or just diversity from our perspective?
No, just how you were asked to join.
I have shared this before.
It was a high caliber
And
wedding.
it bears retelling, because I was working here in Hickory, but living in North Wilkesboro at the time, commuting. And I knew there were civic clubs in the area, and heard about Rotary and other groups and stuff, but never really considered joining, simply because I didn't live here. And I was assistant superintendent of Hickory Schools at the time. And big sports fan, so I was at a Hickory High football game in my official capacity, making sure everybody was doing what they're supposed to be doing. And this uniformed policeman comes up to me, puts his arm around me. Now, he's about 6'12" or so, I found him. And I'm kind of short. And puts his one arm around me and his other hand on his gun. And says, "We're starting a new Rotary Club. You'd like to join, wouldn't you?" I mean, what do you say? I said, "Of course, sir." And I did, and seriously, I did tell him that night that I lived in another county. And he said he thought that would be okay. He had to check in things, and it was okay. And so I joined out of fear, probably.
That's why you haven't left.
And I haven't left. You still have your gun. Not knowing what I was getting into, not understanding. I mean, I'd never heard of the four-way test. I didn't know about service above self. It was a Rotary Club, and this guy, and I'd known Steve for a while. And one story, I got to share this, Steve, because it had nothing to do with Rotary, but it had everything to do with you and me. All right. When I was principal of Longview, now this was about 5 or 6 years, or probably 6 or 7 years earlier than this event we're talking about. I asked Steve to come over and do a security check for us. And so he walked me and 3 or 4 others around the building in Longview. Now the old Longview, it was a nightmare for security. So he'd go and say, you cut this bush down, he'd lock it, whatever, going around. Well, behind me, I won't tell you her name, was one of the teaching assistants. And she said, "Dr. Bennett, come here." I said, "What?" And Steve's about 20 feet in front of me now. She said, "Should I tell him I got a gun in my purse?" Never told you that story. Glad you did.
Hey, but now she could get a 5% raise.
She's still teaching, and now she's a teacher. But anyway, not knowing what I was going to get into, and the concept of diversity was important to start with in this group. I'm a charter member, but I really don't know how people got contacted. I mean, I know how I got contacted, but there were some, I think we had like 36, 37 that very first year. And so other people contacting other people. But we had a lot of females at that time. We had a former president of ours who was a female from Bangladesh. We had people from Africa.
Mount Benjamin Moses.
Yeah, and so it was a very, very diverse group at the start, and the idea for the diversity was important to be kept. And people have dropped off, things have changed. We only have, what, 5 charter members left here right now? 3, Richard, you and I.
7.
Charter?
Conrad, Hunt.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about you come around. Yeah. And so, but that's how I got started and stayed with the group. Michael?
Tell your story.
Well, Steve again, he actually had sales.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And she informed me that know what you get.
Yeah.
She said it, very matter of fact.
Yeah.
You get.
It's what he is.
Yeah.
Right. But, so I didn't know anything about Rotary. All I thought about, and Steve likes to hear me tell this story because I kind of leave him out. But he talked to me about Rotary. And so I said, okay, Rotary. And all I knew, I said, man, I don't want to be in a club with a bunch of old white men. and that's all I heard about. And I said, shucks, and not to mention that I don't need them to help me help anybody because I help people already. I don't need that. And so then I talked to my dad, he was living at that time, and I said, well, Daddy, I said, Steve wants me to join Rotary. And I said, all I know about is a whole bunch of old white men. That's all I know. And then he said, well, son, if God bless you to be in a situation to do something that's different, he said, obviously he feels like it's something you can do in that group. And then when I get in, and I found out that's not, we're still some in here, but but it's not that at all. I mean, it really was not that. It's a service, but I mean, really, and I promise you, that we are brothers and sisters.
Sister.
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 In the group, and that's kind of how I came in. So I guess that's the opposite end of a gun. Would be, you know, having a perspective of not knowing, you know, and what you think you perceive, what you see, which, you know, that's kind of, and I've been in, I don't know what it is, but I've been in ever since. And
You know, independent of the mechanism, guys.
Right. And
Looking around the room and listening to what's happening this morning, this group thrives and exists because of fellowship.
yeah.
You know, we have at least 10 of 13 here that we identify with personally, emotionally, physically, and that's the glue that holds us together. I have tried to sell through the district the idea that Rotarians only have one characteristic in common. They are people who are used to getting things done. That's the only thing we really share. There's a lot of other attributes, but we're used to getting things done, and we use Rotary to focus where to get it done.
And, now I'm gonna finish this. Reinhardt knows somebody everything. But if we as a family, to me, you know, I call us a family. We as a family, I think that, and the new people, the older people know this, but our group is, if you look at our group and try to go to another group and look, you're not gonna see it. You won't see that. You won't see a group of brothers and sisters, because we have had more than one female in here.
And we have another right now, too.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of situation. It really is a family situation. And we thrive on each other's ups and downs and help and blah, 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 but we come together. And if you go to other Rotary clubs, you don't see that. And we've had a number of Rotarians from other clubs, big clubs, that look at our club and they want to come and get in, but they don't get in, but they look and they can't figure out how we do it.
Exactly.
It's because it's more than just the four-way test. It's, you know, it's like the four-way test was a part of your life already.
Yeah.
That
Just
kind of
didn't know.
thing. Yeah.
So I did little tiny club in China Grove. There were 11 of us. Then when I came to Hickory, I went to the big club on the Thursday club. And nothing against that, but I was used to the intimacy of a small club. So then I came to visit this one and said, okay, I'm back home with that. Because I like the family atmosphere and the fact that we just get stuff done.
I mean, but talking about diversity, I mean, the one thing that, if you look around now, we only have Jenny, really. How much should achieving diversity be something that we actively pursue, or is it something that we can actively pursue, given that it's difficult to recruit members anyway?
And that's one question I was going to have, because I'm curious, as Denny talked about membership, just with what you all have shared, I understand about kind of the club as it exists now, but I'm also interested in, maybe not for today, but maybe for a continuing conversation of what that looks like going forward.
But I don't think, and I don't mean to interrupt, but right, I don't think, and I might be wrong, but I don't think anybody recruited anybody based on, I think what Gavin is getting at, I don't think anybody was recruited based on I'm a black male and she's a female and he's, well, Kenny.
Easy.
I don't think anybody recruited
Pick
I think we recruited people based on who the people were, period. And whatever they happen to be, you know, genetically speaking or whatever, that's just how it happened to happen. I don't think we did that. I think diversity comes, like you're saying, diversity comes by the fact that you pick a person like right here.
If your fellowship tendrils reach out to other people, they'll be here. I was at a club meeting as governor last night of Burke Sunrise. It's a little club, a little bit about our size. And they're seating a satellite club at a bar, Brown Mountain Bottling Works, downtown Morganton. And of the 15 of us seated there, 7 of them were female, young female, and I am enthused by that. If they harvest that crop, they're going to be a force to reckon with.
But if, there's something to be said. Also something to be said of knowing that on Tuesday night I'm gonna get free beer. We're sitting at, you know, if there are females sitting there at that bar and they want beer, more than likely, and I'm not being discriminatory, you know, the brother's probably behind the beer, you know, whatever. The other thing is, Michael, I want to tell you, Roger, this is the deal. You know, I mean, we're very, very normal people, you know, in this club. You know.
Yeah, we ain't said we were normal, I ain't saying.
Well, you know, and Michael in particular, you notice that he spoke with his father while his father was alive. He didn't wait till his father had passed to speak with him. So that's rather normal, isn't it? So I'm just saying, he didn't speak to him after he died.
Don't let it get it, Joe.
Well, Mike,
But I think, Roger, as I've heard members talk, it's all about, and as Michael pointed out, it's the people you go after. However, you have to create a climate where those people feel comfortable and valued. As you know, my piece is valued and welcomed, but people feel comfortable in the environment, regardless of who you are or where you came from.
And I concur with that. I think that in these clubs, when you look around the club and you work with people in these clubs, which that's what this club does. You know, this club is mostly male, but men, we really don't get a lot of comfort just talking. I think that it's kind of working together. We get more accomplished. I mean, we are out building a house, and I hold the nail for the sheetrock, and you bang, hit the hammer, and hit more nail of mine than the nail. Then it's your turn to hold the nail. Do you trust me? You know, and that's the kind of thing that I think we've done some in here, and I think that it's sweat equity that we put in a lot.
I will do one thing for us. Who remembers John Goodell? John started the citrus sales program, and he was secretary at the time. And I hold the club archives now, and they're getting bigger and bigger. Finally, when I was looking at the roster and the detail that John executed as secretary, and I'm just astounded at what he did. And the names, I thought, I don't remember that. I'm gonna bring that list and publish it for everybody for a little bit of nostalgia, because you'll see Nana Benyon Moses, you'll see Ahmad Rahat, you'll see Dietra Dooley, you'll see Betty Long, you'll see females, you'll see males, you'll see Native Africans, you'll see Native Americans, and we forget that. That's one of the things. As we grow, we tend to forget our past, and it doesn't hurt to have a little nostalgia and look back at it.
Stag got something
You know, we're sitting here talking about diversity, and where I grew up geographically, I didn't see a lot of what we talk about. That was just, we grew up with all makes, all models. But you know, we've got, our number one initiative in this club is education. We've got Ryan in the room who spearheads, I guess, the K-64 program. Are we missing something there by not taking these children that are identified at risk and somehow circumvent the system and get them to these places that would at least try them for a 30-day period, for a 40-day period? Maybe they'll spark some interest there and say, you know what, we can use this person. We think he's got a future with this company.
But during Ryan's tour, he pointed out that one of his initiatives there at K-64 is but because of the nature of what they've got to sell, they're bringing older students in, but they're bringing public school individuals in to see, think, and anticipate getting into that.
Why? Well, why don't we target that?
Are you talking, this is piggybacking on what Jenny was saying?
You know, we've got another, Rick hadn't brought it up yet, but we've been invited back
To
Sarstead on the 17th of April. And I'm going to get a confirmation on that today. But that's a perfect opportunity. Ryan knows the powers to be there. You've been in there several times. I just wonder if they would be willing to take 1 or 2 or 3 students and start a pilot program and show them that there is a way out. There is a way to better yourself and not have to go through, I mean, let's face it, some of those kids won't even make it to CVCC.
They do a really good job with apprenticeships there. In particular, he's a really big proponent of apprenticeship Catawba. But I think I mentioned, I'm teaching a course at CVCC called Work-Based Learning 120. And those students, half of it is they're taking modules online devoted to soft skills that employers have asked for. But the other piece of it is 32 hours of business experience. And that's what you're talking about. It's the students are getting their foot in the door at local businesses, and we try to place them based on their career interests. So if they say that I'm interested in being a welder, then we're placing them in businesses that are looking for welders. And then we have others that are designing really cool experiences. We got 4 students that are going to People's Bank. And they're actually going to go through their onboarding process. They're going to spend some time in the IT department and marketing and be exposed to all the different career opportunities that exist within the bank. You think initially cashier or teller, but there's so many other opportunities.
So how do we help those individuals that would never get that opportunity?
May I?
Yeah.
I hear what Roger's doing.
Ryan.
You all have.
Ryan.
Ryan.
You see, I got recruited the same way.
But Ryan is dealing with high school students. We've got to catch them at Jenny's level.
Yes.
And take those young men over to our workforce solution complex and walk them through. I'm 4th graders.
Why not?
Walk them through.
Why not? They're a lot bigger than you think they are.
Well, but point being, we're planting that seed as a 4th grader and not waiting till they get here at high school, because we're going to lose them between there and high school.
And let me say this, man. Go ahead.
So why not us as a club?
You have a technical difficulty, Bob, getting permission to take kids out as a group.
Absolutely.
But let me say this, and we're talking about, this is a conversation we talk.
Parents, yes.
The real world conversation is, there's a lot of stuff is going on. Right? And New Dimensions is a nonprofit that took over, we don't call it projects anymore, it's called Affordable Housing. Now, at the end of the day, what's going to happen at New Dimensions is all those bad places, every one of them going to be renovated, the places going to be nice, all the shooting stuff, it has not been very much of anything going on in those places, but when I hear people talk about it, I hear the same story. And it's like, oh my God. And when I talk to the city, I hear the city tell me things like put up a fence. And see, no. Well, listen, now this is not what I'm telling you. I hear the city, I'm in a meeting, I'm talking to the city officials and they talk about those things. So when I hear this conversation, it's all good. That's a fantastic thing. But the fact of the matter is, talking here and going there is 2 different things. And those kids, what they have to do, they do go to school. All of the percentage, I hate the word at risk. At risk. So if I tell you that you're at risk or you this, not put you in a box, and you don't think there's a reason, why is there a reason? Well, you know, that, and I didn't come from there. I didn't come from out. My father was educated. He had a master. My mother. I came from that. I didn't come from a broken home. I didn't come from nothing. I still deal with the exact same thing that child that comes out there deals with every single day I walk out here. So when I hear this story, as if, oh my God, they ain't gonna make it, and we need to see you over there. They see me over there. If you've been in my office, Ryan ought to tell you, I got a wall. My wall is full of students that came in that the parents didn't think they going to college. And that wall is not black. That knowledge wall. I got everything on that wall. Because you can't focus on this right here and say this and miss everybody else, because you don't live in that world. And when people do that, what they do is you keyhole a person and you have him, okay, I'm black, so I need you to help me do this, and I'm Native American, and you know, and we had this conversation one time, that the thing you go through, that's not how you do it. But you gotta help everybody. And true enough, you need to see someone like that, but you need to see somebody like that too. Because how many black doctors have you seen? how many black this, how many have you seen?
Yeah,
How many
but
you
the only
interact
way
with?
you change things is one at a time.
Well, no, not true. If it's a million black doctors, then the people say a million black doctors. So you don't change it one at a time. Your experience changes. That's a mistake that people say, it's not one at a time. If you do it, and as you do it, you see 500 white doctors. So when you walk out here, you thank him, and we go to the hospital. Perfect example. And I'm gonna be done with this. Go to the hospital. I put on scrubs and go to the hospital. People walk up and think I'm a nurse, something else. A white nurse comes in with a scrub on. You think you're the doctor? What? Because you saw a bunch of white men doctors and no black men doctors. So you see what you see. And then I challenge every one of you to think about it. Just sometimes when you get ready to see a situation, see a person, or see whatever, see what you see. I had a little girl, and I'm gonna be done. Little girl, she was 12 years old, came to my office. She happened to be African American, which doesn't matter because I had a European descent girl do the same kind of thing. She came to my office. She said, Doc, she said, you work for the government, don't you? How much they pay you? And I said, baby, I asked her mom, I said, can I show your daughter something? She said, yeah. So I took her in my office, took out my billfold, showed her my driver's license. See the name on the driver's license? I showed her the driver's license. Then I said, come on, baby. I put my arm around her, walked outside. I said, read the name on the bill. Dr. Michael K. Murphy. And she looked at it, and I said, you see, no? He walked back in, and she said, you own it. You got it going on. But she walked in the building, she saw the thing. I'm the only male in my office, and you're at Dr. Woman's office. Why would you think anything other than I own it? Because she doesn't see it.
She doesn't register that.
Well, she doesn't see it. You don't see it. And so the thing is you got to see it. But you know, but it's a thing in progress. Like us as a family, that's what I say. As a family, we are family, and that's what you got to do. And that's it. But
Can I throw out a seed for future for the benefit of this club? We're going to have Bill Biddle, past district governor Bill Biddle, here on the 4th, and he's going to make a presentation about the wheelchair program. Okay, if any of us have any polio survivors or people interested in that area, we should have them here that day to hear him talk about the future of the wheelchair program. It would cultivate 2 or 3 possible new members because it's an exciting thing to hear what he's got to say. Sorry.
Thank you all very much for sharing. I made it to question 1. Just to put out there, I got 4 or 5 more questions I'd be interested in hearing about. But I really appreciate.
But you got a good group. You got a good group.
And I will do a footnote. I was at match day last Friday. My daughter matched. We'll be going to Ann Arbor, Michigan, on the surgery residency program. UNC Chapel Hill. You'll be very proud of what's.
And to piggyback on what Dr. Grimley said, if you haven't read it, it's a little bit dated old book, but Blink is a wonderful book to get you thinking about exactly what you were saying. You know, you walk in, you see a black fellow in scrubs okay, or you see a white fellow in scrubs, and what you immediately think of. Blink's a great little read for that.
It's the pre-programming. It's the pre-programming.
Right.
We're not done yet, sir. I want to share a card from Reverend Monica Childers. She said, Hickory Rotary Sunrise Club, thank you for the invitation to come share about Westview Fellowship. It is opportunities like this that helps us shape the needs, share the needs in our community so that more awareness is brought to pertinent issues. I want to especially thank your group for the generous donations and continued support for this ministry. Our hope is to bridge more people into sustainable living in the coming year. Peace of Christ, Reverend Monica Childers. With that,
Things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
have it.
And will it be fun?